I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because 6 months ago I made a decision that I cannot take back. I opened a door that someone had spent decades making sure would never be opened. And the worst part? My dog tried to warn me. Every single day for 6 days she tried to warn me, and I told her she was just being silly. I have not slept a full night since, and after you hear what I found down there, I do not think you will either. Stay until the end, because the last 30 seconds of this video will change the way you look at your own house tonight. And if you have a dog, I need you to pay very close attention, because animals do not lie. They do not rationalize. They do not tell themselves it is just the pipes. Whatever your dog is afraid of in your house right now, whatever corner they will not go near, whatever door they stare at in the middle of the night, take it seriously. I did not, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. Let me take you back to March of last year. My wife Lauren and I had just bought our first house together. I want you to understand something about Lauren before I tell you the rest of the story. She is the kind of person who finds joy in everything. She cried happy tears when she first saw the backyard because of a single oak tree. She spent 3 weeks picking out the exact right shade of yellow for the kitchen walls because she said she wanted the first thing we saw every morning to feel like sunshine. She made that house feel like a home before we had even finished unpacking. I need you to know that about her. It matters later. The house was built in 1948. Small town, 40 minutes outside Cincinnati, Ohio. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, hardwood floors that creaked in the most charming way. The kind of house that has stories soaked into its walls. We loved it immediately. The realtor, a cheerful woman named Diane, walked us through every room with the energy of someone who had sold 100 houses and genuinely loved every single one. She talked about the vintage kitchen tiles, the original crown molding, the way the afternoon light hit the master bedroom window. She was warm and thorough and detailed about absolutely everything, except one thing. At the end of the first floor hallway there was a door. Heavy, dark wood, old iron handle. Diane walked past it without slowing down. She said, "And there is the basement, unfinished, great for storage," and immediately turned and started talking about the water heater warranty. 3 seconds. That was all the time she gave that door. I remember thinking for just a moment, that was fast. And then Lauren grabbed my arm and said, "Can you imagine having breakfast under that oak tree every morning?" And I forgot all about it. I wish I had not forgotten. We moved in on a Tuesday. We had Rosie with us. She is a 4-year-old golden retriever, and she has been with me since she was 8 weeks old. I want you to understand what Rosie is like because it matters enormously to this story. In 4 years, I had never once seen her afraid of anything. Not thunderstorms, not fireworks, not strangers. She once tried to make friends with a raccoon. She is the kind of dog whose entire personality is built around trust and love and the absolute certainty that the world is a safe and wonderful place. That dog was my emotional compass. If Rosie was not scared of something, nothing was scary. That was the rule. That was always the rule. The first night in the new house, Rosie was doing what she always does, following me from room to room, nose going 100 miles an hour, tail wagging like a propeller, completely in her element. She loved new smells. She loved exploring. She was having the time of her life, until we turned into the hallway where the basement door was. Rosie stopped walking, not slowed down, stopped, mid-step, one paw still in the air, frozen completely still like someone had hit a pause button on her entire existence. I almost walked into her. I looked down. Her tail, which 2 seconds ago had been wagging so hard her whole back end was moving, was now pressed flat against her legs. Her ears were back. Every muscle in her body was rigid. And then she made a sound I had never heard her make before. It was not a bark. It was not a growl. It was something lower and quieter and far more desperate than either of those things. It was the sound of an animal that has just understood something that it desperately wishes it had not understood. I crouched down beside her. I said, "Hey, come on girl, it is just a door." She did not look at me. She kept her eyes fixed on that door at the end of the hallway. I put my hand on her back gently. She was trembling, not shaking the way dogs do when they are cold or excited. Trembling, every muscle working against itself. I laughed it off. I guided her to the bedroom. She went with me, but she kept looking back over her shoulder the whole way down the hall. I told myself, new house, new smells, she just needs time. She will adjust. I told myself that for 6 days. By day 3, Lauren noticed. Is Rosie okay? She asked me over breakfast, in that sunny kitchen with the yellow walls she had picked so carefully. She seemed scared of something. I told her it was probably mice. Old basement, animals can sense that kind of thing. Lauren accepted that answer and went back to her coffee, and the morning light came through the window and landed on her face, and everything looked so normal and so good that I almost believed my own explanation. Almost, because I had not told Lauren what was happening at night. On night 2, I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. to the sound of Rosie whimpering. I still remember checking my phone and seeing that time. 3:17. I went out to find her. She was in the hallway, at her post, facing the door. But this time it was different. This time she was not just standing there. She was shaking so hard I could see it from 10 feet away. Deep, full-body trembling, the kind that comes from somewhere below fear, from some place in the nervous system that exists only for the most primal warnings. I walked to her slowly. I crouched down and said her name softly. She flinched. Rosie flinched at my voice. She had never done that in 4 years. Not once. When I put my hand on her back, she turned and looked at me, and I want you to hear me clearly when I say this. The dog looking back at me in that hallway at 3:17 in the morning did not look like Rosie. It looked like an animal that had seen something it could not survive seeing twice. I carried her to bed. She pressed herself against me so hard all night that I woke up with bruises. And in the morning when I got up, she was already back at the hallway, already at her post, already watching that door, like she had never left. Day 5 is when everything shifted. I was upstairs working, and around 2 in the afternoon Rosie started barking. Not her usual bark. These were short, sharp, desperate sounds, the kind of barking that means something is wrong right now. I ran downstairs. She was at the basement door, but she was not just standing there this time. She was scratching at the gap at the bottom of the door. Frantically, urgently, her claws going at the wood like her life depended on it. And here is the thing I need you to understand. She was not trying to get in. The scratching was outward. She was trying to block the gap. She was trying to seal it. Whatever was on the other side of that door, Rosie was trying to make sure it could not get out. I stood in that hallway watching my dog try to barricade a door, and I felt something go cold in my chest that has not fully warmed up since. I called her name. She kept scratching. I called sharply. She stopped. She looked at me, and then from behind that door came a sound. Slow, deliberate, unmistakable. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Not a pipe settling. Not the furnace clicking. 3 evenly spaced knocks from something with intention. I did not move. Rosie did not move. We stood there together in that hallway in complete silence, and I counted my own heartbeats because it was the only thing I could think to do. I went back upstairs. I sat on the floor of my office with my back against the wall and Rosie in my lap, and I told myself over and over that it was the pipes. I told myself that until I almost believed it. Almost. Day 6. Lauren was at her sister's place for the weekend. I was alone. Just me and Rosie and that door. I want to be honest with you about what I was feeling that morning because I think it matters. I was not brave. I was exhausted. There is a difference. 6 days of broken sleep, 6 days of watching my dog slowly fall apart, 6 days of building a wall of rational explanations that kept developing cracks. I was not going down to that basement because I was fearless. I was going because the not knowing had become worse than the knowing. I was going because I had run out of ways to lie to myself. I put on every light in the house. I checked that my neighbor Dave was outside. I put my phone in my pocket with the emergency call screen open. And then I put my hand on that door handle. Behind me, Rosie sat down on the hallway floor. She did not bark. She did not try to stop me. She just sat there and watched me with those dark, exhausted eyes. And somehow that quiet acceptance was the most frightening thing that had happened in 6 days. like she knew there was no point anymore, like she had already accepted what was coming. I turned the handle. The door swung open and the cold came out immediately. Not just cool air, cold. The deep, wet cold of somewhere that has not seen sunlight in a very long time. And the smell. Concrete and old wood and something underneath those smells that I still cannot name. Something organic. Something that did not belong. The single bulb at the top of the stairs threw yellow light over the first few steps, and then the darkness swallowed everything. The stairs were narrow and they creaked on every single step like they were announcing my arrival to whatever was waiting at the bottom. I kept one hand on the wall. I counted the steps. 13. I still know it was 13. The basement was what the realtor had described. Unfinished concrete, exposed pipes, furnace, water heater, boxes from previous owners. An ordinary basement. I stood at the bottom of the stairs with my phone flashlight on and turned a slow circle and felt the specific humiliation of a man who spent 6 days terrified of absolutely nothing. I almost laughed. I actually almost laughed out loud in that basement. And then the flashlight beam caught the corner behind the furnace. And I stopped breathing. There was a door. Behind the furnace, half hidden. A door that had no business being there. Small, maybe 5 feet tall. Built from wood that looked older than the rest of the basement. Older than the house itself. And it had been nailed shut. Not once. Not twice. Dozens of nails driven in at every angle, overlapping, crossing each other, hammered with the kind of repetition that goes beyond practical and into desperate. I counted later, 43 nails. I walked toward it slowly. Each step felt like a decision I was making for the last time. The closer I got, the more details I could see. The scratches along the bottom edge of the door, deep ones on both sides of the frame. The dark stain on the concrete floor that spread out from under the door like something had seeped through a long time ago and been absorbed into the ground. And the writing, in black marker, handwriting so hurried and pressed so hard into the wood that the marker had bled and blurred at the edges. 2 words. Just 2 words. Dio not. I stood in front of that door for a long time. I took a photo. I have never shown it to anyone, and I never will, because every time I look at it, I feel something I cannot describe. Not fear exactly. More like the feeling of standing at the edge of something you cannot come back from. And then from behind the door I heard it. Not knocking this time. Breathing. Slow, steady breathing with a deliberateness to it that no pipe or furnace or settling foundation could ever produce. Breathing that had a rhythm and a patience to it. Like something that had been waiting for a very long time and had learned to be comfortable with waiting. And then, I am certain of this, between one exhale and the next, it stopped. The breathing stopped. And the silence that replaced it was somehow louder than the breathing had been. Because that silence meant it had heard me too. I do not remember going up the stairs. I remember being in my car in the driveway with Rosie in my lap and the doors locked and the engine running and my hands shaking so badly I could not have driven if I tried. I sat there for nearly an hour. I watched the house through the windshield. The ordinary house with the yellow kitchen and the oak tree that Lauren loved. And I thought about what I had heard behind that door. And I thought about the fact that Lauren was coming home in 2 days. And I thought about the word that kept rising up through every rational thought I tried to build over it. The word that I could not stop thinking. That word was remains. I called Marcus. He is a contractor who has worked on old houses his entire career. He is the least superstitious person I have ever met. He once laughed at me for checking under my bed as a joke. I told him everything, every single detail from day one. When I finished, there was a long silence on the phone. And then he said, "Do not go back down there alone. I am coming Saturday," which was not what I expected from Marcus. Marcus laughing at me was what I expected. Marcus going quiet and then saying, "Do not go back alone," was not. That silence told me more than any of his words could have. While I waited for Marcus, I went to the county records office. Then the library. It took 3 visits and one librarian named Sheila who printed things for me without asking a single question to piece it together. The house was built in 1948 by a man named Harold Voss. He lived there alone. Sold it in 1961 to the Petersons. The Petersons to the Garretts in 1979. Ray and Elaine Garrett. They lived there 9 years. In 1988, the house went to auction. State involved. Ray Garrett had died inside the house, ruled a suicide, 51 years old. But the detail that made my vision go strange when I read it was not that. It was a single paragraph in the police report. Deceased found in subbasement, accessed through secondary door in main basement. Door had been previously sealed from outside by deceased. Deceased had been in subbasement for extended period prior to death. Cause of death, prolonged isolation and malnutrition. Ray Garrett had nailed that door shut himself, from the outside, and then somehow, impossibly, he had ended up on the wrong side of it. That is not a thing that makes sense. That is not a thing that has a rational explanation. A man seals a door from the outside and then is found dead behind it. I sat in the library parking lot and read that paragraph 4 times. And then I called Marcus and told him to bring the biggest flashlight he owned. Marcus came Saturday morning. He read the report. He set it down. He said, "Okay," and nothing else for almost a minute. Then he said, "Let us go look at it." Rosie would not come downstairs. She lay at the top of the stairs with her chin on her paws and watched us descend, and I thought, she already knows what we are going to find down there. She has always known. Marcus examined every nail. He counted them without me asking him to. 43, he said quietly, all driven from this side. He ran his fingers along the scratches at the bottom of the door frame, deep ones on both sides. He looked at me. He did not say anything. He picked up his drill. Took 40 minutes to remove every nail. We did not speak the entire time. Just the sound of the drill and the nails dropping one by one onto the concrete floor, each one landing like a small punctuation mark. When the last one fell, Marcus stepped back and we both looked at the door. "Ready?" he said. I was not ready. I said yeah. He put his hand on the door and pushed it open. The room was 12 feet by 12 feet. Concrete on every surface. A wooden shelf along one wall with canned goods. Maybe 60 cans, the labels so old and faded you could barely read them. Beans, tomatoes, corn. A metal cot frame with no mattress. A rotted blanket folded on top with a neatness that somehow made everything worse. A 5-gallon bucket in the corner I will not describe further. And on the floor, scratched into the concrete so deep, with such force and such repetition that it must have taken not days but weeks. Words. I am going to read them to you exactly as we found them. Every word exactly as it was scratched into that floor by whoever was inside this room while the world went on without them above. I came here to escape the sound. The sound does not come from outside. It was never from outside. It lives in the house. I nailed the door to protect the house from me. I am the source. I am sorry. Signed RV. Marcus said the initials out loud. RV. I said the Garretts lived here. Ray Garrett. And then something shifted in my memory. Something from the county records. Harold Voss. The man who built the house. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and found the records I had photographed. Harold Raymond Voss. RV. This was not from 1988. This was not Ray Garrett's handwriting on that floor. Harold Raymond Voss built this house in 1948. And at some point after he built this room. And he sealed himself inside it. And he scratched those words into the floor. I nailed the door to protect the house from me. I am the source. The Petersons bought the house in 1961 and lived there 18 years and never knew. Or maybe they found this room and sealed it again and moved away quietly. And then the Garretts came, and Ray Garrett found it. And whatever Harold Voss had found in this house, whatever had driven him to build a concrete room and nail himself inside, Ray Garrett found it too. And he sealed the door again. And somehow he ended up behind it. Marcus called the county that afternoon. They came the next day. They found what they found under the concrete floor of that room, and that case is now officially closed, and I have been asked not to discuss certain details publicly. What I can tell you is that we were not the first people to open that door. And we were not the first people to wish we had not. We still live in the house. I know that is the first question everyone has. Lauren loves it. The yellow kitchen, the oak tree, the morning light. She knows parts of the story, not all of it. There is one part of the story I have never told her. 3 nights after Marcus and I opened that door, Lauren shook me awake at 3 in the morning. I thought she had heard something. I sat up already reaching for my phone. But she was not scared. She was sitting up in bed with her head tilted slightly to one side, the way she does when she is trying to figure something out. She said, "Do you hear that sound?" I said, "What sound?" And she said, "It is so quiet, I almost cannot hear it. It is like breathing. It is coming from everywhere at once. Is that not beautiful? It is like the house is alive." I told her it was the pipes. She smiled and lay back down and was asleep in 2 minutes. I did not sleep at all. I lay there in the dark and I listened to what she had described as beautiful. And I thought about the words scratched into that concrete floor. It lives in the house. It was never from outside. And I understood finally what Harold Raymond Voss had meant. He had not built that room to keep himself away from the sound. He had built it because he had realized that the sound was coming from him, that he was carrying it, that he was the one bringing it into the house. He sealed himself away to protect the people he loved from what he had become. I am the source. I am sorry. And I lay there in the dark next to my wife who found the breathing beautiful, and I thought about that. I thought about it for a very long time. Rosie still sits at the end of the hallway every morning. She still will not go near the basement. But lately, only in the last few weeks, she has started sitting somewhere new at night. Not in the hallway, not in the bedroom. She sits outside Lauren's side of the bed, facing her, just watching her, all night. And I do not know what that means. I am trying very hard not to know what that means. If you have a dog, pay attention to them. They know things we have decided not to know. They see things we have trained ourselves not to see. Whatever your dog is watching right now, wherever they will not go, whatever they stare at in the dark, do not do what I did. Do not tell them it is just a door. Leave a comment and tell me if your dog has ever done something you could not explain. Subscribe because there is a part 2. There is always a part 2 in this house. Take care of yourselves. And God, please, take care of your dogs. The night my wife came home, I knew it wasn't her. Not because of how she looked, not because of how she spoke, because of what she said. "I missed you so much." Dana never said that, not once in 11 years. So I smiled. I let her in. I locked the door behind her, and I have not slept since. Dana made terrible coffee and refused to admit it. Every morning, same result. She'd hand me a mug and say, "This is a good batch." I drank every cup. Never told her. We moved into Harlow Street Apartments on a Friday. 7th floor, Unit 7B. Rent was wrong, too low. The kind of low that is a sentence with a word missing. Mrs. Calloway handed me the keys without eye contact. The building settles at night. Don't let sounds bother you. She left before I could ask what she meant. 3 a.m. First Friday. Knock, knock, knock. Perfectly spaced. Mechanical. Like something that had studied human knocking without understanding its purpose. I looked through the peephole. 2 children stood in the hallway. Long dark hooded cloaks. Heads bowed. Perfectly still. Like they had been placed there. Then slowly both raised their faces. No eyes. Not shadows. Smooth pale skin pulled flat where eyes should have been. The voice came through. Layered, hollow, wrong. "Mr. Let us in. We don't have anywhere to go." I sat on the floor until 5 a.m. I did not open the door. Ruth had lived in 7A for 11 years. Eyes that had stopped being surprised by anything years ago. "It found you," she said. Not a question. Pay attention to the rhythm. They can never get it exactly right. The rhythm is the tell. There are more of them every year. And they all look like someone you'd open the door for. Whatever was outside my door had been watching us. Collecting. It had found the words only Mia would know. No matter what you hear, no matter whose voice, promise me you won't open it. 3 figures in the hallway. 2 small hooded ones. And behind them, in Dana's gray coat, Dana's dark hair, Dana's face, tilted just slightly downward. "That's the part I'm counting on," it said. "The part that loves her more than it trusts itself." They found Dana in the basement stairwell at 6 a.m. No memory of anything after 9 p.m. "Daddy," it said, "I can see the light." When did you last actually verify your door was locked? Not when you think you did. Not when you
No
assume.
visible red flags
Actually,
because he'd spent
walk
years
back,
learning exactly
check,
how to make sure there
verified.
weren't any.
Because here's what nobody tells you about living alone in your 20s. You get comfortable. You trust your routine, your building, your locks. And that comfort is exactly what he was counting on. Her name was Zara, 24, remote job, first real apartment, living alone and genuinely loving it. And for 19 consecutive nights, while she worked late, ate dinner alone, laughed at her phone at 2 a.m., someone was inside that apartment with her, not breaking in, not forcing anything, just there, watching, breathing her air. The only reason she ever found out? A sticky note on her bathroom mirror. Zara wasn't careless, wasn't naive, just a normal 24-year-old living her normal life. She worked late most nights, ate alone most nights, had her private routines that only exist when nobody's watching. The way you laugh at your phone when you're completely alone. The way you exist more freely when you think nobody can see you. That version of you, that's who he was watching. October 14th. A new mug arrived, deep purple, handmade, beautiful. She placed it on the shelf, made coffee, went to bed, worked until 2 a.m. the next night, walked into her bathroom, yellow sticky note, lower left corner of the mirror, small handwriting, deliberate. Her brain gave her an exit. I must have written this and forgot. She threw it away, told nobody. He had already been inside her apartment 11 times before that note. It wasn't the beginning. It was him deciding she was finally ready to know he existed. 3 days later, she put on a cobalt blue dress. Not going anywhere, just wanted to feel human inside her own home. Next morning, kitchen drawer for a spoon. Sticky note taped inside the panel. She went to her bathroom, closed the door, slid down against the tile wall and sat on the floor, knees to her chest, and cried. Not dramatically, just that quiet, shaking cry that comes when the place you built to feel safe stops feeling like yours. 2 minutes. Then she wiped her face, stood up, and called Dana. Dana picked up first ring. You're not crazy. Call the police right now. I'll stay on the phone. 2 officers came, checked every lock, all engaged from inside. No forced entry. Filed a report. Left a case number. 3rd note. Inside her recycling bin lid. He had followed her outside and gotten back into her apartment before she returned. Detective Osman arrived. He walked the apartment differently, focused on edges, overlooked spaces, things nobody thinks about. He stood beneath the HVAC access hatch in the hallway ceiling for a long moment. A maintenance corridor connected a vertical shaft running from the basement all the way to the 7th floor. The 2003 renovation was supposed to seal it. It never was. From the crawl space side, you could see directly into her bathroom. The opening was large enough to pass through entirely. Crawl space forensics, a foam camping pad, a water bottle, a zippered pouch, sticky notes, pens, latex gloves. He had a routine. 5th floor, apartment 5C, officially vacant. One wall completely covered in photographs of Zara. Her entire private life, reconstructed, cataloged, by a man she had never met. Center of the wall, one index card at his exact eye level. When she's ready to know, she'll know. His name was Derek Rowe, 31, IT background, clean LinkedIn, the kind of person you'd swipe right on without thinking twice. No visible red flags because he'd spent years learning exactly how to make sure there weren't any. He had first seen her at a coffee shop. She laughed at something on her phone, that private, unguarded laugh. He wrote that same night, "She has no idea I exist. Not yet." 5 days in, Zara staying at Dana's. She woke up alone. Kitchen counter, perfectly centered. A yellow sticky note. The one belief she'd been holding. At least here he doesn't know where I am. Gone. 12 words. Dana called her that night. Keep thinking, what if I'd been here? I don't have an answer. And that's the scariest thing I've ever realized. October 31st, 12:47 a.m. Basement sensor triggered. A figure in the shaft. Slow. Practiced. Dark clothing. 7th floor crawl space. He stopped. Crouched. Listened for 4 full minutes without moving. The ventilation panel lifted out without a sound. A hand through the opening, then all of him into Zara's bathroom. He stood up, straightened his jacket, held up a yellow sticky note, already written, "Derek, don't move. Hands where I can see them." 3 officers entered. He looked at the note in his hand, then held it out. Officer Holt took it. "Read it." The room went quiet. The saddest and most frightening thing I encountered in 15 years. Didn't resist, didn't speak, just looked at the floor and let himself be let out. The same way he'd come in, except this time everyone could see him. 9 years, guilty on all counts. Zara moved cities. New apartment, new locks, still wakes at 3 a.m. sometimes. Just listening, just making sure the air is hers. She kept the purple mug. It didn't do anything wrong. I make coffee in it every morning. I'm not letting him take that from me too. Derek found Zara's building through a public records request. He found Dana's address from a location she tagged 4 months earlier. No hacking, just patience and information you posted without thinking. Audit your location sharing. Right now, tonight, if something at home feels off, document it, photograph it, tell someone immediately. Check your ventilation covers. The ones you've never thought about. The original development had 12 buildings. Same blueprints, same unsealed passages. Zara's was the only one anyone checked. 11 buildings, still standing, still full of people trusting their locks.